Did you know that Canada has one of the best public school systems in the world? That's right, Canada consistently appears in the top 10 for math, for reading, and for sciences. Now, if you're moving to Toronto with your family, you definitely would want to know where the best schools are for your kids. So I thought I'd take some time and make a video about the top 5 best public schools in all of Toronto. Now, this video will focus on the elementary schools specifically. It's going to focus on the boundaries that these schools take applicants from, so you know where you need to move if you do want to be eligible to take your kids to these schools. Now, be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I will be pointing out the best high school in all of Toronto. That's right. All the other schools are elementary schools, but the last one will be a high school. You don't want to miss that one. So let's get into it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you'd like to know everything there is to know about living in Toronto and the surrounding area, then be sure to subscribe so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Toronto. My name is Philip Cotlier. I'm a local real estate agent and I get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you. So if that's you, whether you're planning on moving across the country, across the world, or just across town, whether it's in 8 days or 80 days, just give me a call. I'm happy to help you make your move everything you want it to be. Alright, let's talk about Toronto schools and the amazing neighborhoods that house them. So this is important if you're a parent with young kids or maybe you have kids on the way. But it's also important if you have no plans on having kids, you just want a rock solid investment property that you know will appreciate for years to come. Now, it turns out the neighborhoods with really good schools in them are always in high demand. So when you think of buying a property, you also want to think about selling that property. And you know, when you sell a property in one of these neighborhoods, there is always going to be a steady stream of people looking to purchase it. Over the past few years, Canada has become somewhat of an educational superpower, climbing into the top 10 of results for the PISA test. The PISA test is organized by the OECD and ranks all G7 countries along a few different dimensions, including math, sciences, and reading. Let's see where Canada stacks up against its neighbors. In the mathematics test, Canada came in 9th with a score of 497, and the United States came in 33rd place with a score of 465. In the reading test, Canada came in 8th with a score of 507, and the United States came in 9th with a score of 504. In the sciences test, Canada came in 8th as well with a score of 515, and the United States came in 16th with a score of 499. I think that proves the point that Canada has a pretty good free public education system available to all of its citizens. Now let's take a closer look at Toronto specifically and highlight the 5 best public schools available to residents of Toronto. We're also going to take a look at the area boundaries that these schools accept candidates from. Now keep in mind, these area boundaries are very important. If you live one street outside of these boundaries, your kids will be going to a totally different school. So when you're moving, it's really important to keep in mind how these boundaries work. Even different sides of the streets can equal different schools for both sides. Now the first school on our list is King George Junior Public School with a Fraser Institute ranking of 10 out of 10 or number 1 out of 2,975 schools. Now the first school is located in Runnymede, a very nice neighborhood on the west side of downtown Toronto. It's conveniently located around 15-20 minutes from the airport over here in the west, and it has a similar distance to the downtown core. Around 15-20 minutes to the east you get to the downtown core, and the other way you get to the airport. Now the neighborhood itself is quite diverse. It's a lot of families live in this neighborhood, a lot of young professionals live in this neighborhood. You have a lot of the best of Toronto available at your footsteps here. If you want to go out for a nice night out, you have the Junction neighborhood close by, which is a very artistic neighborhood with a lot of bars, restaurants, art galleries, pop-ups, concert halls, all kinds of things to do. So if you're a young professional, this neighborhood is a great fit for you. And of course, if you're a parent, it's also a great fit for you because you have the great school, King George Junior Public School, right at your footsteps. In terms of transit, we have the subway over here on Bloor. This subway takes you straight to Yonge and Bloor, and then you can go south to Union Station. So it's around a 20-30 minute subway ride if you need to get downtown through the subway. You also have access to High Park, which is the biggest park in Toronto. This huge thing over here, it's over 400 acres of natural public park. Very nice thing to have. And then on the other side, you have the Humber River over here, which is a great trail system that goes all the way down to Lake Ontario. So lots to do in this neighborhood. And then in terms of the school district itself, you see the neighborhood is quite large. It creates this rectangular shape, but the school itself has a much smaller area from which it accepts candidates. Right over here we can see the boundaries, St. Clair Avenue in the north, and then Jane Street in the west, and then a net over here in the south. And then it takes a bit of detour over here, but it generally follows around Runnymede. So this is really important to know. If you want your kids in this school, you really need to be on the right side of this map over here. Even if you go on the other side of the street here on Jane Street, you would not fit into this school. So something definitely to keep in mind when you're thinking of a place to rent or to buy. You really want it to fall into this school if you want to be in the school district. The next school on our list is Bennington Heights Elementary School, ranked 9.9 out of 10 on the Fraser Institute ranking system, or 14th out of 2,975 schools. Okay, Bennington Heights Elementary is conveniently located north of downtown Toronto in Bennington Heights. Interestingly enough, Bennington Heights Elementary is served by 3 different communities, including Bennington Heights, Rosedale, and Leaside in the north, which we'll get to a little bit later. But just so you see in terms of where this school is in relation to the downtown core, it's just north of the downtown core. The actual school is right over here, and it's around a 15-20 minute car ride if you want to get from downtown to the school. And then the few areas it services are very well located. These are very affluent neighborhoods. Rosedale is one of the most affluent neighborhoods in the entire city. It's home to a lot of politicians, doctors, lawyers, corporate executives. So is Moore Park, so is Leaside, but to a little bit of a lesser extent, Rosedale is definitely the most affluent of these neighborhoods. And it's interesting that Bennington Heights services all 3 of these communities, because a lot of Rosedale families take their kids to private school. So I don't think you get actually a lot of applicants from Rosedale attending. But in terms of kind of neighborhood amenities, we have Yonge Street running up and down right over here beside the school, beside Rosedale and Bennington Heights. That's where the subway is. That's where all the shops and restaurants are. It used to be the longest street in the world until that title got a little bit rescinded. But definitely you'd be going right over here to Yonge Street if you want to go out, you want to get something to eat, you want to go to a grocery store. It has everything you need over here. And that's pretty close to the school as well. So let's take a look a little bit about the area from which applicants are accepted, and here we are on this map. You can take a closer look. This neighborhood, it's a little bit divided. I've actually never seen one with such a division line as we see over here. Just to mark it up a little bit, let's see. We have the 3 different neighborhoods I mentioned. Bennington Heights right over here. This piece is Rosedale, and then this piece is Leaside. So you have kind of 3 major overlapping neighborhoods, both feeding into this school. And then there's that other portion of Leaside that's kind of in the north. I'm not sure why they kind of divided it up like this. This is really peculiar. There's just like one sliver of Leaside streets feeding the school up here. Kind of peculiar. But it is what it is. These are the feeder neighborhoods for Bennington Heights Elementary School. So if you want your kids to attend this school, this is where you want to live. The next school on our list is Blythwood Junior Public School, ranked 9.9 out of 10, or 14th out of 2,975 schools. Blythwood Junior Public School is located in Lawrence Park, an area that's near and dear to my heart. I used to live here for a little while and definitely explored all this neighborhood and got to know it quite well. So the neighborhood is in the north of Toronto. Let's take a look at the map. It's a little bit further than the previous neighborhood we were looking at. This is around maybe 25 minutes from the downtown core with traffic, maybe a little bit more depending. It does have subway access in the neighborhood, so you always have that kind of flexibility because it is bordering Yonge Street. You see the subway over here. These metro stations are the subway stations. You can easily jump on these guys and be downtown in, let's say, 15-20 minutes, depending on congestion and depending how smoothly the subway cars are running. Lawrence Park is pretty nice neighborhood. It was all developed around the same time, kind of in the post-war area. The houses are all kind of single detached houses, quite large lots. You see like 50-foot frontage is quite normal, 150 depth is quite normal. Some lots go as large as 60-70 foot frontages. These are definitely affluent neighborhoods. This is another neighborhood where politicians, executives, lawyers, doctors do reside. It's right beside Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center, one of the largest hospitals in Toronto, Also a really big cancer research center is over here. And then you have a great trail system, which I definitely used a lot when I was living in Lawrence Park. You can get on a bike and you can go all the way downtown from Lawrence Park. The trail starts over here in Sherwood Park, or Sherwood Forest, as Robin Hood and his merry men like to call it, and it goes all the way down the Don Valley Trail system, hugging the Don Valley Parkway, and it goes all the way to this distillery district over here. You can just see it on the side of the screen. It's a great ride, a great hike, lots of fun to be had. If you do enjoy nature, this is a great neighborhood for you. Now the school boundaries itself, let's have a look at the school boundaries. They are a little bit strange, actually, because not all of Lawrence Park is covered. Technically, Lawrence Park is south of Lawrence, right? Everything south of this street is Lawrence Park, and then on the north side, it's different neighborhood, different price point, kind of a little bit less sought after. So it's interesting that not all of Lawrence Park is covered by Blythwood Junior Public School, but most neighborhood residents actually take their kids to a private school. There's a few really good private schools in the neighborhood, including this TFS, French Immersion International School, which is very highly ranked. But clearly, a lot of people do go to the public school as well because it's also well ranked and well staffed. So here we can see the boundaries. It's kind of hard to even take a look at them, but the park is the boundary in the northeast. Part of Lawrence is the boundary over here. This is Young Street, and then I'm not sure what street that is, but it's probably Blythwood Ravine, if I was to take a guess. So there you have it. Those are the boundaries of Blythwood Junior Public School. Now you know, if you want your kids to be in this school, this is where you need to buy or rent a house. The next school on our list is Cottingham Junior Public School, ranked 9.9 out of 10, or 14th out of 2,975 schools. Now let's take a look at Cottingham Junior Public School. It's located as close to downtown Toronto as you could possibly be, and be on our list of schools, of course. Let's take a look at the map over here. We're literally, 10 minutes away from downtown Toronto, away from Union Station. Definitely the closest we've seen out of all the schools on our map so far. Now, the neighborhood it's in is a very affluent neighborhood called Summerhill. The current Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, Christina Freeland, actually lives in Summerhill with her family, so you could bump into her if you choose to move in here. Also, lots of politicians, doctors, lawyers, a lot of affluent people live in Summerhill because of its central location, close proximity to downtown, and of course, great public schools. But let's take a look at the boundaries of Summerhill quickly. Over here we have Avenue Road in the west. We have Davenport in the south, and then we have Yonge Street over here. Then the neighborhood switches over to the east of Yonge Street a little bit and wraps back to Avenue Road. Now there's a big difference between the east side of Yonge in Summerhill and the west side of Yonge in Summerhill. If you want to know what that is, make sure to message me directly and I'll share it with you. But the school itself is located kind of right in the heart of Summerhill over here. Let's take a look at the neighborhood boundaries of the school. Okay, here are the neighborhood boundaries. Not all of Summerhill is captured by this school, so we can see that Avenue Road is the boundary in the west, just south of Marlborough Avenue in the south, a little bit of Yonge Street, and then it kind of pops into this, the eastern side over here and comes back along Walker Avenue. So that is the area that you want to be living in if you want your kids to go to Cottingham Junior Public School. The last school on our list is Lambton Kingsway Junior Public School, ranked 9.6 out of 10, or 29th out of 2,975 schools. This school is located in the Kingsway, one of my favorite neighborhoods in Toronto. It's located on the west side of town. We can just zoom out a little bit further from downtown Toronto. If being close to downtown, you might want to consider one of the other schools, but this area is perfectly located between the airport and downtown Toronto, similar to the first school. Actually, it's actually kind of close by, just a little bit further west. Now this neighborhood is characterized by kind of the post-war era Edwardian homes that are built in this pocket. They're more kind of European style with a lot of the original architecture still in place. Now the area is bordered over here by Humber River in the east, Dundas Street in the north, Mimico Creek in the west, and Bloor Street in the south. And all of it is mostly low-rise buildings. There are a few apartment buildings but mostly detached homes is what you'll find in this neighborhood. Now, I know personally the school is in really high demand. I've rented a few homes in this pocket, and people do move just to this neighborhood specifically for the school. The school boundaries of the school are actually pretty similar to the actual neighborhood. You can see here's the school boundaries, and here is the neighborhood map. A lot of overlap. Perhaps this would be the only kind of exception over here. This is a cemetery, so that does not count. And then a little bit north of Dundas, it also extends outside of the Kingsway. But other than those two pieces, the entire Kingsway is covered by this school. So if you want your kids to attend Lambton Kingsway Junior Public School, you want to make sure you are within the boundaries of this neighborhood. Alright, you stuck around till the end of the video. Your kids must be in high school age because elementary schools clearly are not interesting for you. But as promised, I'm going to share the #1 high school in all of Toronto. And the #1 high school is Ursula Franklin Academy, ranked 9.2 out of 10 on the Fraser Institute ranking website, or number 6 out of 739 high schools in the entire province. Ursula Franklin Academy is located in one of the most sought-after neighborhoods in Toronto, High Park North. That's this neighborhood right over here. It's called High Park North because it's just north of High Park, which is the largest public park in all of Toronto at 400 acres. This park has an endless amount of things to do in it. There's a zoo, there are playgrounds, there's cherry blossoms in the spring, there's bike trails, there's picnic areas. It's all manicured and beautiful and an amazing place. I love to visit it whenever I'm in this part of town, and definitely a big draw for lots of neighborhood residents. So High Park North is this neighborhood right over here, and it also has access to Bloor Street, which has the subway line which heads downtown. So if you need public transit, you definitely will benefit from having the subway over here. Also along Bloor Street, there's lots of shops, restaurants, bars, lots of things to do on a nice night out. You can definitely have fun on Bloor Street. So there you have it. That's Ursula Franklin Academy. That's the neighborhood it's located in. Now you know the #1 high school in all of Toronto. If you were ever wondering, that question is fully answered for you. There you have it, the top 5 public elementary schools plus the #1 high school in the entire city of Toronto. Did one of these schools or neighborhoods stand out for you? I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. And moving forward, we're putting out a video a week regarding everything to do with living in Toronto, including Toronto condo tours, Toronto showroom tours, Toronto neighborhood guides, and just general real estate information that you should know about. So be sure to like and subscribe, and you will be notified as soon as a new video is released. That's it for today. We'll see you guys on the next one.